Hello there, everybody. This is Lucas Hahn, Continuous Improvement Manager. Just wanted to put together a quick video and share with you something I've had a recent opportunity to take advantage of, which is Discover Excellence Shingo training. So really appreciate the company allowing me to pursue that, something I read about a little over a year ago. Super interested in it. Has a lot to do with culture, piece of lean, Six Sigma improvement, which is close to my heart. Something I really care about, something I live every day. So getting some additional training and understanding of these principles and this program and the Shingo philosophy was something I was very interested in. So really pleased and thankful that I was allowed to go do it. So what the training is, there's 6 tiers. You got to take Discover Excellence as a prerequisite for all the other ones. So it is the first step. It is my first step. It's supposed to be done in person, and that's the way I signed up for it. Was supposed to go to Scottsdale, Arizona, and do it end of March. With the pandemic, everything went on hold. So kind of in lieu of them waiting for the pandemic to end and be able to get back together, the Leg Up Solutions was actually the trainer. They went to the drawing table and tried to figure out ways to pull this thing off virtually, which they did very well, I think. And I was a little nervous about that because not being in person, face to face, was going to be a challenge, I thought. And I think at the end of the day it was. But I also think I learned an awful lot about how I can be doing some work, especially as it relates to Gimbal Walks and doing some of these other things that I didn't think was otherwise possible in a virtual environment. So really learned some neat things with the virtual training. It is also a little bit discounted right now if you want to do it virtually. I think they realize there's some cost savings there, so they pass that on. So not an awful time to do it regardless. So just talk about some other Shingo resources before I get into some details. There is a Shingo booklet. I'm going to hold it up here. You can Google that. You can go on that website. It is a free download, so I strongly encourage that. I downloaded the PDF, printed it, highlighted it. I reference it quite often. Really great read. It was a quick read, and I'm not a super fast reader, but really some interesting things in there. And again, I read that over a year ago, and I've put a lot of what I've learned in there, or from reading it, into practice in the last year, and seen some really good results, and really firm believer in it. So getting into the training, which ended up really reaffirming things I learned. Wasn't a ton of new stuff for me, but I think that's because I read the book and put it into practice. So now kind of into more of the content, and hopefully providing some things that people could take away. Format of the training was really interesting. You got this box in the mail about 2 weeks ahead of time. It did have a case study assignment that you were required to do before the first one, which was reading a business journal paper about the NUMMI plant, which for folks who have been through lean training, I'm sure you've heard that, but it was a joint venture between Toyota and GM. If you haven't heard of that, I encourage you to Google it or reach out to me. I can get you a copy of the article. Really interesting what lean can do. Same people, different system, and far better results by being lean versus not lean. So the NUMMI case study was part of the course, and really appreciated being refreshed about that story and how impactful it was. The other thing is when you open your packet, there's all kinds of stuff in there, but most of it is timed. So this one said open now, so obviously you open that right away. But as you go through, there's different packets that will tell you different times to open it, and inside there's different exercises. So that's kind of how they helped address the remote situation, which I thought kept it pretty engaging, made it very interesting. So next thing, you get your booklet with it. Even if you were in person, you would get this booklet. It gives you an opportunity to keep some notes. It shows you some of the content and slides. And so I felt like the best way to kind of get some of this knowledge out there is just some of the key pages I highlighted. I'm just going to kind of turn to them and give you kind of my key takeaways here. So again, mentioned this earlier, it's an awful lot of behavior focused here. So it's tying ideal behaviors to ideal results, and it's linking your systems, your principles, and your behaviors all through your results. So behavior is really a big theme, And so it helps here. I thought this was interesting. It really purely defines behavior. So I know as I'm out doing lean work, I'm constantly thinking about, what behavior is that metric driving, or what behavior is created through that communication type stuff. And I felt like this was interesting. It helps you to define what is a behavior. So for something to be considered a behavior, it has to be observed, described, and recorded. So if you can't do any of those three things, then it is not a behavior, it is something else. And so if you're trying to connect your behaviors and you're not certain what you're looking at, if it's a system or a behavior, that's a fairly simple way to define your behavior. It then goes in to directly link your behavior to your culture. So one of the definitions of culture is the sum of the behaviors of all the individuals in a group or system. So if all your employees' behaviors added up, that is your culture. So again, behavior, super important here. Kind of goes into next thing here is around some of the insights of this first level of Shingo. And one of the things they talk about is ideal results producing ideal behaviors. So ideal results, outcomes that are aligned, that are both excellent and sustainable. Like that word sustainable. I think that's a big a key issue as I work with teams, trying to do it in a fashion that creates some sustainability there, and which demonstrates improvement over time. So it's that continuous improvement philosophy that most certainly I'm bought into. So ideal behavior being actions that create outcomes that produce results and are both excellent and sustainable. So again, that sustainability piece, really key. And I think if you're focusing on the behaviors of the people, you're engaging the right people, that's where your sustainability is going to come from. At least that's my experience since I've been in this role. So then it kind of goes into what are principles. So talked earlier about connecting behaviors, principles, results, and there was some discussion in the session around the difference between a value and a principle, and kind of real simple. A value can change. A value is something you find valuable now, that can adjust, that can move. Principles are kind of more foundational things. This is the why we do things, why we come to work every day, those kind of things. So these are really the foundational rules, and so they use the word rules that kind of govern the behaviors of your culture. So having an understanding of what your principles are and defining those for people, I think is key, and also something I think we always have an opportunity to do better at. So kind of we got a little in depth on insight 1, which is the ideal results require ideal behavior. Insight number 2 is purpose and systems drive behavior. So it's understanding that some of those systems you put in place, so you might have a safety system, you might have a human resources system, a career development system. So those kind of people systems, and driving some behaviors with those systems. Insight number 3 is that principles will inform your ideal behavior. So again, going back to what I just said, having a clear definition of those principles and working towards them is really critical, and connecting all that together so that your behaviors are fitting your principles. So next key takeaway here is going to be around our Gimbal walks. So this part was the one I was really I would say the most nervous about, seeing how it works out. Really, really hard to do a Gimbal walk virtually. I've been on quite a few, and being able to physically interact and see and read people, I always thought was super key to doing that well. And I still do believe it is, but we still did the exercise here virtually, and they had a really good system for it. They had a kind of a facilitator who had a phone with a camera, and then they had a separate phone and a camera system that whoever they were talking to in the Gemba was able to see the video. One of the things that I think was different about kind of a Shingo motivated Gimbal walk, traditional Gimbal walk, and you're looking at a specific process, you're looking at the tasks that are happening. This really, you were looking at that, but this really dove more into behavior. So you were asking specific questions about maybe their safety systems, and does that create any does that drive any good behavior? Does it drive any bad behavior? You're looking for behavioral issues like leadership, coaching, and engagement. And there's a couple things listed in Shingo that, ideal behaviors that show a healthy, sustainable, collaborative culture. And your kind of questions are geared around those. So thought it was really interesting to get kind of that focused feedback that is more kind of cultural behavior stuff than it is the task stuff. And because I think most Gimbal walks I've been on, it's been very task looking. So getting that mix of task, but also having that opportunity for cultural and behavior stuff, I think was really powerful, and really glad I did it and learned a lot from it. So next slide I want to kind of highlight here, and it's got a cool little graph, which I'm going to try and find and print out because I think it says a lot. And it kind of has your system in the middle of it, but then it says you have your KPIs and your KBIs. So I'm hoping a lot of people on here heard the term KPI, so key performance indicator. KBI was a new term for me when I first read the Shingo book a year ago, and that's key behavioral indicator. And so the big difference here and kind of where the focus was is that a KPI a lot of times can be a lagging indicator. So by the time that metric is presented, or you have those numbers in front of you, or that chart in front of you, that pass fail, that visual management, whatever you're using, you might be able to change that number for next time, but you're not changing it for that time. You know, it's that lagging indicator. It's a result type stuff. So KBI is more you're understanding the behaviors in the system that are going to produce those results. So if you're starting to see a trend in a behavior in your process, that might be an indicator that it's not going to get you the results you want. You're able to make those course corrections before there are results. So a leading indicator versus a lagging indicator, and understanding your systems can connect those two and how that all plays together. So really interesting. I think by accident, I was kind of doing some of that, just the way I learned lean and the way I've been trying to coach people and help people with it. I think I mixed a little bit of that in there without it really understanding or seeing it in this type of format or this graph that really visually shows you got KPIs, you got KBIs, and the systems are going to connect them, and they're both really important. So kind of next piece here, and really last piece for what I want to talk about today, it gives you kind of the end here, shows you kind of what's next, which I really like, you know, ending anything with that. So I did this, now what do I do? So I think, you know, front line, what's next for me, obviously I want to print out that KPI visual management and get some people going. What's next for me was what I'm doing right now. So sharing this out so that other people can kind of take advantage of the opportunity that I've been given. Also continue behaving the way I have, the things that this training reaffirmed for me. I think got to keep doing it. Then the graph I just showed there is kind of the 6 trainings. So got my lapel pin and marked off Discover Excellence, and again, that is the prerequisite for any other one. So I'm now free to take any of the other 5, but I'm really strongly looking at, and haven't, you know, seeked approval for this yet or formalized it, but as of now, my plan is to try and approach getting the system design certification, which is next in the diagram. And originally I thought system design, you know, not for me, more manufacturing, but this is people systems. So this is deep dive on the systems that create behaviors. So your safety systems, your development systems, and things like that. So definitely one I'm interested in. Read in the book an awful lot about the third one, which is cultural enablers. Definitely feel like I want to get that one as well, but I think, you know, the last 3 really get heavy and intensive hands-on stuff directly related to manufacturing. So instead of just doing a Gimbal walk, you're actually going to be kind of designing a system that's going to work in the factory or the plant. So I don't think I will go into those 3, but I'll probably wait till after I get the next 2 to make that decision. So that kind of wraps it up. And I hope somebody out there finds something in here, you know, that helps you. If you're not certain what to do with it, or you just want to talk about it, please reach out to me. Always up for talking this. Also, if you have any feedback on this particular video, too long, too short, not enough value, talk too fast, don't like my hairdo, whatever, please also get that back to me, because I'm constantly looking to do better, and I can only do that through your feedback. So appreciate your time, and hope that everybody can go out there and apply some of this stuff to make your life and your job better. Thank you.